Hello YouTube, today I'm going to be reviewing the HYPERMASS training program by Noel Deyzel. And before we even get into the exercise selection and the template, there are already three massive issues. The first one is the fact that the program is 8 weeks. And you need to understand something with bodybuilding programs. Every time you're going to get given a timeline of sorts, you can pretty much tell for certain that the program is going to be bogus because it makes no sense. Why would you need or even desire to stay only 8 weeks on the program? For a powerlifting program that aims to peak for a competition, it makes sense. But here, maybe the justification is that you're supposed to do a show after the 8 weeks, but the program is aimed at beginners who are certainly not going to compete. So what is the point? Well, I think that the point is to make the program look more serious and professional, but at the end of the day, it's bogus. A good novice program should have you just ride on the wave of progression until it is time for you to move on. Spending 8 weeks on a program is just going to encourage novice lifters to program hop and go from one template to another, which is horrible and the reason why many people actually never make any progress. So that's the first issue. The second issue is the advice given before you even enter the program. Of course, Noel is going to tell you that the program will make you bigger, leaner, etc. That's the point of bodybuilding. But he tells you here that to fuel the gains and to have optimal recovery, you must eat 5 to 6 meals a day. This is the total sign of a pro bodybuilder, or whatever he is, of someone who is on hormones, who has forgotten what a normal human being is. A normal human being, especially a teenager that's just getting started, does not need 6 meals a day. You can eat 2 times, 3 times the way you always ate and you'll be just fine. Your body will ask for more calories and you're just going to naturally increase it. I remember training at the age that many people are going to start that type of program at and just eating an extra bowl of rice a day. And that was enough for me to gain weight. The only thing it does to put all of these kids on this crazy diet regimen is that it discourages you. Before you even can taste your first gains, you are already living the lifestyle of a pro bodybuilder, which is incredibly draconian for no reason. And this is the reason why many people burn out before they actually can stick to the practice and see results. And you'll come to understand that this makes a ton of sense because it's aligned with the program. The program has the same shortcomings. And then the third problem and the issue with the entire program is that at first glance, I thought to myself, okay, the program is bad, but I've seen worse. And then I saw this particular segment and I realized, oh, all right, so it's going to be even more garbage than I thought. And the reason why is because the entire program hyper focuses on negatives. For some reason, I think that it's because he was looking for a gimmick, the guy introduced the idea that the most important part of hypertrophy is the tempo. So every single lift has a selected tempo, meaning that you are supposed to do 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 1 second for a given lift. I hope you understand that this is not normal and this is not a good practice for hypertrophy. I've spoken in the past about the pyramid of hypertrophy, and there are certain things that are at the top. For example, intensity, volume, frequency, that is the most important thing for muscle building for natural lifters. Tempo is all the way at the bottom. It's not useless, but it's not that important because at the end of the day, a movement is a movement. Yes, the length of time you'll spend in the negative and positive do matter because they play a role in muscle fiber damage. But if you insist on people only focusing on that, you are going to create people who are going to lift like idiots because if you are going to have an extreme tempo on a lift, an example that he gives is, for example, a 4-0-1-0. So for example, in this situation, you're going to spend 3 seconds lowering the weight, then 1 second with the weight lowered, 2 seconds holding the weight. All of that one is not natural at all because it's not the way people do their reps. And two, it's going to take away from the ability of the lifter to progress. Because you understand that this method is going to mean you're going to train with subpar weights. And you could tell me and retort to that, hey, it doesn't matter the weight that you use. What matters is what it feels like and what it does to the body. And I agree. But this is why this is a method that only very advanced lifters might apply to their training. It's because a novice will not be able to fully utilize it. The only thing it'll do is it'll confuse them And it's going to, in a sense, make them get into their own heads. I guarantee you that a novice does not need to focus on tempo to progress. You don't want to count seconds when you do a rep. Where have you ever heard that? On top of that, understand that this type of, in a sense, mindfulness during training is going to require you to take away from your intensity, because now you're counting the seconds you spend during the rep, meaning that you're not going to do the rep as optimally as possible. It's no bueno. This is typically someone who reverse engineered the problem. Negative and tempo is important, but for the most part, it's important because it allows for the rep to go through smoothly. I recommend slow negatives, but never to time it. A slow negative is to preserve form, to stay tight, to get the muscle to lengthen, and then to explode back up. Whatever time you spend in that motion is good. You certainly don't want to count it. The reason why it is so bad is because that tempo gimmick is applied to every single lift. So now you take the entirety of the program and you slap something horrible on every single set. There is no wonder why the program is also going to be horrible. So let's get into it. The PDF of the program I got is horrendous. I hope it's not him who wrote it like this, because it's impossible to follow. I'm going to try and make sure that I don't actually make any mistakes, although you will see that regardless of the format, the program is mayhem, it's chaos, and this tempo shit doesn't help. So let's get into it. The program is a typical split, as expected from a bodybuilder. And if we look at the split, at first glance, it's not too bad. We have a back and biceps, we have a chest and calves, which, even though it's not synergistic, is not the worst, although it technically is only a chest day, and chest days, as we all know, are stupid. And you'll see that this is going to become prophetic as we actually look into the program. Then there's stuff that's less egregious, like hamstrings and glutes, quads and glutes, which is rather just a lower body day, that's okay. Shoulders and triceps, a decent split, a synergistic split that makes sense, that's good. And then you even have something like an active recovery day, that is essentially a camouflaged harm day. That is good as well. These are good ideas. If I just look at the template, it looks standard. At first, I thought I was going to be able to say good things about the program. But then you look at the program itself and you realize, oh, it's going to be one of those again, where the guy is going to have you do 50 sets of stupid fluff pump exercises that get you nowhere. So for example, the back and biceps day on Monday has you start with lat pull down 20 reps of 4 sets. Whose idea was it to start a day where you're supposed to grow your back with a machine exercise with subpar intensity, subpar weight, sandbagging for 20 reps? What type of growth do you expect from that? You're basically doing aerobics with weight. This is not the proper way to train. It's good for the pump, I guess, but if you want to challenge the body and its adaptive capacities to grow bigger with time, it's not going to cut it. He gives a ton of advice, like the bar should be held just wider than shoulder width and torso should be at least 75-degree angle. That's good, okay? But the issue is that this is the cherry on top of the cake. The problem with the program and Noel's advice in this program in particular is that he just put the cherry on the plate and expect people to see the cake. But there is no cake, right? All of that stuff, the tempo and shit, it's the icing on top. It cannot replace the cake. And you're going to see that this is a theme that is going to repeat itself, because followed by the lat pull down, you're supposed to do seated cable row, 10 to 15 reps, 4 sets. This is typically an exercise I would put at the end of a back day after the heavy exercises, the lower body exercises that are going to build overall thickness and mass. If you take some like skinny dweeb, you put him on a seated cable row and you have him progressive overload that for 5 years, do you think he's going to get massive and jacked out of it? I don't hate on isolation movements with cables, they have their place, but they're isolation. They don't give enough tonnage to produce massive hypertrophy. If I, for example, had never done heavy deadlifts, heavy rows, heavy pull-ups, I would have never built my upper back to the point that it is right now. This is why people have shitty upper backs. It's because the method of training is simply not proper. So now we have already 2 exercises for a grand total of approximately 160 reps. And it's not over, meaning that this should be like the maximum of volume you do for your lats. It's already way too low in intensity, but it doesn't stop there. In between, for some reason, he's decided to put barbell deadlifts, 10 reps for 4 sets. First off, 10 reps is too high on a deadlift in my opinion, if it's not a variation or a different style. It's just going to be too intense for cardio for novices. They're going to burn out. It's going to be extremely poor fatigue to stimulus ratio. There's simply no need for that. I understand why he programs it like this, is because for having looked at the way pro bodybuilders train deadlift, they train it very low intensity, they never actually push it to failure. So here it makes sense. But the issue is that a novice will not know that. They're going to put as much weight on the bar as they can. And then you again look at the tempo gimmick, where the guy asks you to do a 4-second negative. Do you know how long 4 seconds is? Like, count it with me right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 seconds lowering the bar. Take again someone who has no spinal integrity and have them do that 10 reps with each time that negative. They're going to be gassed out after 3 reps. Their core is going to be completely shot. Their form is going to be garbage. Why do that? If you're going to have people focus on the negative on deadlift, why not do Romanian deadlifts with a normal negative? This is idiotic. And the issue is that, again, it's going to take away from progress and it's going to disgust people from the gym. If I had been put on that type of program as a novice, I wouldn't be there today, because Jesus Christ, who wants to do that? Go into the gym and do like a mime circus where you have to do slow control negatives, bro. It's so boring. And the issue is that the program keeps going. Keep in mind one thing. These negatives lengthen the program. So each time you see a day and you think, oh, it's long, it's actually twice as long as you think, because the negatives double each set and each rep. Do the math in your head. It's insane. You follow these deadlifts with seated cable rows. Haven't we done that shit before already? Like, am I crazy? Am I drunk? I'm pretty sure that there was a superset with the lat pull downs. And no, I'm not crazy. You do a grand total of here 10 sets. 10 sets of seated cable rows. Who needs that? It's so idiotic. Why would you need to do so many seated cable rows exercises? On top of that, here he has you do 15-second rest in between. So it's just cardio. Because if you use a weight that challenges the body and the muscle, you can't recover in 15 seconds. So again, just moving weight for the sake of moving weight, it doesn't do much. We're not done yet. Another exercise of isolation with cable lat pullovers, 20 reps of 4 sets. At this point, you've done 300, 400, 500 reps just for that. Do you think this works? Do you think this will grow a juicy jack bag? The answer is absolutely not. You're just going to get bored, because it's fucking boring. And this is what created a generation of lifters who have no drive, no concentration. They're in the gym with their phone, just texting Stacy or whatever, because their program doesn't really require them to actually be focused on anything. You just have to move the weight through space. This doesn't produce good physics. So this is for the start. This is for the back portion. First off, super focused on the lats, very little work for the rest of the back. So you're going to have massive lats and not much else. This is a massive problem. But then you start doing the back and biceps part. And this is where I started at the beginning to tell you that most of the time that type of split fails. And it's because people just cannot find a way to work the two body parts together. So you have, it's a back / bicep day, so there's no synergy. So the bicep part is just as bad. He just has you do bicep isolation with baby weights for 12 reps and just as much sets and reps as possible. You do 12 reps of 4 sets of rope cable hammer curls, then 10 reps of 6 sets of medium close grip barbell curls, then 3 sets of dumbbell bicep curls, 15 reps for 4 sets actually. Who needs that much bicep work? I certainly don't, and I never did. The only thing this does is, again, it's the bro training that gives you a massive pump, but is a massive waste of time. Also, look at this day. Look at this hell of a day. This takes you at least 2 hours and 30 minutes, if not 3 hours. For what results? Almost nothing. Novices don't need to spend that much time in the gym, 45 minutes to an hour tops, to get people to actually build work capacity and do meaningful movements. Where are the compound movements? From all that I cited, the only compound is deadlifts. This is not the proper way to train novices. This is how you train a generation of people who get no results and stay small forever. That was for the Monday. The Tuesday is a chest and calves, and we might think that maybe it'll be better, but soon, very soon, our hopes are dashed, because it's just the same thing and repeat. He just has you do as many exercises as possible for the chest. This logic is hyper present on YouTube Fitness, and I want you to learn it so as to make sure you can avoid it. The best way to grow a muscle is not to work it as much as possible. This is a childish mindset. The issue is that it's prevalent. What you want is to do a select number of sets with intensity to challenge baseline and damage the ability of the muscle to recover, rest, come back and do it again. That's how you progress. If you have a plethora of sets, you are lacking in the ability to control that factor, and therefore you will not grow. So here he has you do dumbbell bench press for drop sets. For some reason, the first exercise has drop sets. Why? This is the issue with pro bodybuilders. I think it's because they forgot that they got most of their size from drugs, so they try to reinvent the wheel to justify their, again, massive hypertrophy gains. We do the basics because they work, okay? Simple standard sets with no foo-foo, no chains, drop sets, or tempo modifications. Just a normal set, okay? Just a normal exercise. Then you can get fancy once you have the basics down. This is typically something targeted towards teenagers and very, very novice lifters. They simply don't need to do drop sets for their first exercise. They simply don't. Second set, alternating chest cable crossover. It's not a bad exercise, but it's just that it's one chest exercise on top of a million, because then you do inclined barbell bench press, then machine chest press, then inclined bodyweight push-ups. That's 5 chest exercises in a row. This is why I told you that chest days are stupid, because people think, okay, chest day, a bro split, I have to destroy my chest because I only train once a week for chest, so they do as much as possible. Issue is, by the time you're done with your second exercise, your chest is done. If you use relevant weights, your chest is done. It wants to go home and recover. But you keep going with baby weights because you have no muscular endurance left and you're just wasting your time. Now you're just accumulating fatigue, but there's no stimulus associated. It's just fatigue. This is why, again, bro splits, body part splits, if done incorrectly, are complete garbage. And this is exactly how you're not supposed to do that type of split. It's a waste of time. I'm not going to spend too much time harking on that very point. We'll then move on to the calf raise part of the program, where he has you do the exact same thing, a shit ton of exercises for the calves. If you want massive calves, this is not the way to go. You have to work them spread throughout the week with a lot of intensity, yes, but most importantly, frequency. Frequency is the key to develop your calves. I'll make a video eventually because I got great results from that. But doing your 4 or 8 sets of calf raises once a week will not produce anything. You'll get sore for a day and that's it. This is the reason why, again, people have small calves and think it's bad genetics. No, it's bad training practices. So then we move on to the Wednesday. It's the day where I had the most hope. So much hope, in fact, that I started wanting to actually print the program. But then I read it and I realized that it would be a waste of paper, and I did not want a tree to have to die for this. Thank God it's in PDF form. So, for the Wednesday, which is called Active Rest, it's an optional workout, which is good. You want to give novices the ability to decide their own destiny. This is great because you teach them proper judging skills. Now, what he has you do essentially is an arm day. And you know why this program cracks me up? The one day that's the best day and that makes the most sense is the day that's optional. Meaning that it's the day that everyone is going to skip because they're going to kill themselves with the Monday and Tuesday, which are completely useless, and they're going to not do the one day that was actually programmed properly. On that day, he had you do curls for 20 reps of 4 sets, while you alternate between the arms. It's not the best rep range, but it's not horrendous. And you superset that with tricep skull crushers. Get this, 12 reps of 4 sets. Is there a glitch in the matrix? Why is there a relevant rep range in the program? It's the first rep range that makes sense. This is actually a great superset too. Bicep and long head. It makes a ton of sense. And you're supposed to do that set, again, as an option, but it's a good set. The issue is that it continues. He would have stopped there. Like, that type of day for a noob, like you do some, I don't know, like some steppers on a machine and you do that type of superset for like 3 sets, maybe some abs, and that's a great optional day. That way you don't burn the guy out. It's the way I preach arm days. An arm day should be the day that you are looking forward the most because it's low intensity, it's low impact, and it's not stressful. Problem is, he is hell-bent on having you do a ton of volume for some reason, so you continue with more bicep curls, then tricep cable pushdowns, then real delt dumbbells, and barbell shrugs. But even then, I would say that for someone who is a little bit more advanced than novice stage, it's good. It's a good arm day, meaning that it lacks compound movements, but at this point I'm not going to be too judgmental on that. I think that pro bodybuilders are allergic to that, even though I always have people tell me, hey, there's a ton of pro bodybuilders who use compound movements, or maybe they use it, but when they make programs, they don't include them. So why does that matter? Compound movements are essential for bodybuilders. Let us all remind ourselves of that. It's the reason why any good novice programs will have a majority of compound movements with the isolation to go with it to have a solid program. But as an arm day per se, an arm day with no compounds, it's not bad. 2 bicep movements, 2 tricep movements, and 1 shoulder movement and 1 trap movement. Actually, if you're going to take one day from the program and you want to apply it to yours, this is it. This is an arm day for someone who is a little bit more advanced than novice stage again, but it's actually good. So that's the one good thing I have to say about this. Now let's get back to the tragedy. After that Wednesday, you do your Thursday, hamstrings and glutes. You start with barbell back squat, 20 reps of 4 sets. So this is essentially a Widowmaker squat, but for 4 sets. Do you think it's going to produce hypertrophy, or do you think you're just going to burn yourself out? Because I know for a fact that if I put like 40% of your max on the bar and have you do like 30 reps, you will be gassed out. Because the cardiovascular difference between the requirements from the muscle standpoint and the lung and heart standpoint is way too high, and therefore you're just going to be gasping for breath. Now, think about someone who's never done sports before, a complete noob and normie, and have them do that. This is how you turn people into squat haters. Because it's too much, it's going to develop a stressful relationship to squats, and there is simply no need. You could do something like 4 sets of 3 to 5, it would be so much better. And yes, you do much less reps, but you do reps in relevant intensity windows, and so you win much more. After that, lying hamstring curls, which is a great movement to do on a lower body day because it stretches the hamstrings, reduces injury, and actually works the hypertrophic benefits of the muscle. But the issue is that, and I'm going to read it for you, you do lying hamstring curls, 12 reps, drop set to 30 reps times 3 sets. And then you have a ton of tempo shit. So essentially it's a math problem. Like, you had a very good thing in the program, but because he tried to again be smart ass or a smarty pants about it, he had to make it complicated. What is the point of drop setting to 30 reps? Let the novice do his 12 reps and then take a break. Leave these practices and methods for people who understand them and can actually make use of it. Then you do walking lunges, 20 reps of 4 sets. This is one rep range where actually I'm not too opposed to it, because for unilateral movements, I always like to go a bit higher in terms of volume and lower in terms of intensity. So this is actually great. And then you do barbell hip thrusters, 12 reps of 4 sets. So all in all, the end of the workout is good, the middle with the hamstring curls could have been good, and the start is horrendous. But there is a very easy fix. Modify the rep range for the squat, modify or even dash the stupidity with the hamstring curls, and then do your walking lunges supersetted with the hip thruster even if you want. And just like that, you have a good leg day program. See, this is what I get, and this is what I've started to understand more and more as I review programs for you guys. Most of the time, the program is not bad. It's just that you have to just do away with all of the shit that the YouTuber put on top of it. Which is why I don't think that Noel Deyzel is an idiot. I think that he is, just like anyone else on this platform, trying to compete for space. And if he made his HYPERMASS program as something simple and orthodox, it would not have attracted the attention of as many people. So he had to slap a ton of shit on it. It's like, I don't know if I have a stupid example to give you. You make like a designer bag, it's pretty, but it's too simple and classic. So you put diamonds on it and fucking like bells, and now it's very shiny, it makes noises. But it's also horrendous. Reviewing programs from other YouTubers is essentially like being a gardener. I have to cut down all of the grass. It's covered in shit that's not needed, but if I actually can get rid of 60% of the program, suddenly there's a gem underneath the pile of turds. It's always been the case, which is why also my heart suffers. Because I'm supposed to hate minimalism, but every time I make a review, I turn into a minimalist and I just cut down. So that is for that day. The issue is that it continues. I told you that it was a good day, but he wants you to do even more. So now you do stiff leg barbell deadlifts, 15 reps of 3 sets, and again seated hamstring curls, and then glute backs. Why? Why is it needed to do so much? It's a lower body days. I've always said it. Your lower body days should look very short and your upper body days should look like laundry lists because you move more tonnage with your lower body. A novice does not need to do that many lower body exercises. It's just going to lead to burnout. Also, why do glute cable kickbacks at the end? This is the exercise I see chicks doing. I'm sure it works to an extent, but if you want a big fat ass, just focus on the compounds for lower body. Just stop being so fancy. You don't need that stuff. These 3 exercises at the end are not needed. What they could be, however, is another day. Maybe an optional day, maybe a rotation day, but certainly not included in that program because I can tell you for a fact that by the time you get to the hip thruster, the average noob has no juice left. Their legs are tired, their cores are tired, their lower backs are tired. There is no point in staying in the gym. For me, this is how I think. You stay in the gym until it's time to go home. When is it time to go home? When your muscular endurance is done or your psychological resistance is gone. So your mental stamina is gone. Most novices have no mental stamina whatsoever. They burn out after a while. And there is no point in keeping someone in the gym that is not in it. You just have to go home at this point. So, same logic here. Now, if we move, let me read this because it looks juicy. 99% of the time, girls are seen doing this exercise, but at the same time, 99% of IFBB pros do this exercise too. Focus on your contraction and negative and build those glutes. Okay, so because IFBB pros do something, novices should do it. This is why taking advice from people who are on drugs is not a good idea. They're delusional. If anything, it should be the opposite. If an IFBB pro does it, you shouldn't do it because they're not the same animal, they're not the same beast. 100% of the guys that I know, to continue with stupid stats that we just pulled out of our assholes, got big glutes strictly from squats and deadlifts. And that's the truth. I have never done a fucking glute cable kickback in my life. Just don't do it. It's a waste of time. Most of glute isolation is a waste of time, but this especially. And the authority argument of saying, well, the pros do it. The pros also take a ton of drugs and they die in their 50s. Should we all do it as well? I don't fucking think so. Now let's move on to Friday. Shoulders and triceps. This is the day where I have the most hopes because it is the day that, like, at just first glance is the most promising. So let's see if he can ruin it. He opens up by saying this is going to be a killer right off the bat. Okay, great. So what are you trying to tell me to do here? It's so poorly written, it's insane. Okay, set 1, dumbbell side lateral raises, 10 reps of 10 sets, and it's ruined. Why? You're going to start with a shoulders and triceps day. Why not start with a compound movement that hits both? Like, I don't know, a bench press, I don't know, a dip, a push-up. Why lateral raises? It's that I blame these people for the reason why isolation movements have a bad rep. It's because 10 reps of 10 sets of lateral raises is completely idiotic, especially if you open your workout with it. Same logic as with the cable pull downs previously. Why would you do it when you are the freshest? It's when you have the most energy and muscular endurance. Do a heavy movement now when your joints are actually able to handle it. Your muscles are actually able to produce intense work. This is stupid. So you're going to do 100 fucking reps of shoulder isolation before you do even a press. Do you think you're going to go into your press fresh with shoulder stability? No, you're going to be pre-fatigued. But for what? For nothing. Okay, let's recenter. I don't want to get too off topic with this. But Noel tells you that you're going to get a mad pump from this. Oh, this is how you build 3D shoulders, guys. Of course. It's the reason why all of these guys have 3D delts, right? It's not the drugs at all. Every time you listen to these guys, understand that their results don't correlate with their training. You want big delts? Look at naturals with big delts. Most of the time, what do they tell you? It's 90% presses. All of these isolation movements do something, but they barely do anything. So, with set 2 here, we have barbell overhead military press, which should have been the first exercise. But actually, this one is okay. 8 to 12 reps for 4 sets. This is absolutely good. It's what I said previously. Why didn't you just open with this? Then I wouldn't have to actually curse you out. Set 3, rear delt rope pull, 10 reps of 4 sets. Again, perfectly reasonable, good exercise. He just had to ruin his own program by trying to include gimmicky shit. Then you do set 4, dumbbell shoulder press. Okay, another press. It's going to depend on volume here. If it's low volume, then maybe it can work. But then I look at it, it's 10 reps, then a drop set to 15 reps, then a drop set to 30 reps for 4 sets. So each set is a grand total of, I don't know how to count because I failed math in high school. It's a grand total of 55 reps for each set. It's 4 sets, 200 reps, 4 presses. Do you think this is sound? The answer is absolutely not. Plus, you already did barbell overhead military press previously, so it's just a waste of time. Then you do more shoulder work with rear delt dumbbell fly, 20 reps. So at this point, you've done your 100 reps of lateral raises, you've done 40 reps of delt isolation for the rear delt, and then you're going to do another 80 reps. Again, understand that this is typically the type of training that produces no result and creates burnout in lifters. You do not need to do that many reps. This is way too much volume. It's why, again, I always tell you to add volume to your program with circumspection, because you will see that a little goes a long way, but that it's easy to overdo it. But with this program, actually, the problem is solved, because you know how the poison, the dosages makes the poison? Well, here, Noel is just going to make you swallow the entire fucking vial of poison, because imagine if you take a normie off the street and you put them on that program. And if you tell me, oh, it's not for novices, the people who watch him are novices. They're teenagers who are looking for a fatter figure. This is the type of demographic that is going to jump on this program and are going to die. It's the equivalent of grabbing a kid who's like 5 years old and tossing him into the middle of the Pacific Ocean and saying, hey, swim. Yeah, the kid is gone. You can kiss him goodbye. He's going to be eaten by sharks. Same logic here. This volume would kill me. I've been training for 15 years. The only way I could get around to do that program is if I sandbag every single set. And my little finger tells me that that's exactly what people who are going to do it will do in the gym. They'll integrate the idea that they have to get through it because it's hardcore, bro. They will refuse to take away exercises even though they should. So they're going to use baby weights and they're going to get no results from it whatsoever. So this is, again, the day continues. Then he has you do skull crushers. I don't know what happened with the skull crushers. It's the one exercise where he has you do normal reps. So 12 reps of 4 sets. Excellent. Then straight bar cable push down. Okay, more isolation for the triceps. Keep in mind, you've already done 500 reps of presses, so your triceps are pretty much already burnt out. Then bodyweight bench dips, because why not? Another 25 reps times 3 sets of a movement for an exercise that you already pretty much burnt out on. Then close grip bench press. So essentially what he does is he keeps all of the presses and compounds from the start. You see how smart this is? That way it's when you're really tired and you really don't want to do anymore because your triceps and shoulders have no juice left. Now you're trying to move heavy weight. Well, of course, perfect. This is like primal pristine logic. This is the worst scheduling of a program I've ever seen. It's like a practical joke, right? You get the lifter into the gym and you're like, all right, I'm going to make him do a ton of isolation so that they're nice and tired. And then when they're real fucking bored and they have no energy left, this is when I make them do the compounds. Yes, genius, perfect idea. This is typically not going to be the type of program where the guy is just going to skip because he's tired, right? Idiotic. I told you that your upper body days are supposed to be long, but here I feel like I'm reading a novel. It just doesn't stop, right? Another set and another set. It just keeps on going. Finally, it stops, but this is way too much. With the volume available in this program, you can make 5 upper body days. It's ridiculous. A novice would never survive that. No shot in hell. Then we move on to the Saturday. The Saturday is also entirely optional, and it's a calves, abs, and accessory day. So you will see that a ton with people who make programs on YouTube Fitness will they'll make the calves and the abs accessory. And actually, I used to do that in the past, or at least I used to do it in practice, but not in theory. The issue is that I realized that if you put the calves and abs at the end of the program, people just skip and then they have shit results. So it's not a bad thing per se to do it, but understand that it's a practice that needs to move on. I'm not going to actually take a look at this. It's an active recovery day, and he's already proven that for some reason these are his best days, and this one is the same. 10 reps of 4 sets of calf raises, then leg raises to failure, so an AMRAP, which for ab isolation makes a ton of sense, then a bodyweight plank for a minute, then some dumbbell pullover. Fucking tragedy. He put the pullovers on the one day that's optional. I feel like I'm getting trolled. The 2 optional days are the best days. This is the day where you do some ab isolation with relevant actual fucking intensity, some relevant calf work, and pullovers, which is the most underrated exercise. And he has you do them the proper way with 12 reps of 4 sets. Then forearm barbell bench curl, so a fucking forearm isolation. Are you kidding me? This is the best day yet. You get to walk your forearms directly into pullovers. And again, forearm barbell bench curl, 12 reps of 4 sets. So the second he does an optional day, his brain just goes back on and he makes sense again. Like, again, I feel like I'm getting short. This is the best day of the program. By far. The 2 optional days are the best day of the program. But don't you worry, we're getting right back to the shit. Because now we have the last day, and that's quads and glutes. So what is it going to start with? It should start normally with a hip hinge or a knee flexion, right? Because glutes, quads, okay, logic. Let's see what he has a start with. Oh, surprise, leg extension. Another isolation movement. Great idea. Let's start with an isolation on the lower body day that should include heavy compounds. What could go wrong? So you start by nicely pre-fatiguing your legs because you're going to do 12 reps. No. It's a triple drop set. You do 12 reps, you drop to 15 reps, and you drop to 20 second hold, then 4 sets for another 15 reps. Why? There is no word. You know, I like the people who sit on the leg extension machine with their phone and they don't do anything, because that way they prevent other people from sitting on it and doing stupid shit like this. I have nothing else to add. This is stupid. And I know that the idea is to get blood into the muscle. You know what gets blood into the muscle effectively? Squatting. Why don't you just warm up? Because from what I understand, he tells you, oh, you have to warm up. But I don't think he knows that you can just warm up with the exercise you're going to perform on, with less weight. You don't have to do isolations. Because then, for set 2, he has you do barbell back squat for 8 reps, drop sets to 12 reps, 5 sets, plus the tempo shit. You've already done an hour and a half of leg extensions. You think you're going to be excited for those back squats? You think you're going to be performant for those back squats? For God knows how many reps it's going to make you do? Absolutely not. This creates leg day skippers and people who look like chicken. And then close stance leg press, 25 reps of 4 sets. That is way too much volume for the quads. It's insane. It's insane. Like, you have a novice do a 3x5 on squats twice a week. That's plenty of volume for the legs. They grow fine. They grow like this just fine. It's this mindset again of small muscles equals big muscles. Oh, curls need a lot of volume and a lot of reps. Okay, well then the quads is the same logic. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. This is insane. And it doesn't stop there. Because you superset close stance leg press with a hack squat where you do 12 reps. These are the same muscle. There is a word where similar muscle groups can be utilized in a superset, but it's super rare because the goal of a superset is to slap exercises together that don't work together. Antagonist muscle supersets for the most part, which allows you to save time. This is the exact opposite. And the worst part is that you usually never superset compound movements. Again, it's an exception. So he's breaking the 2 taboos of supersets. Supersetting the same muscle and supersetting a compound movement. Imagine this. It's hell. Why would you do a heavy knee flexion twice in a row? Well, you won't. Because here, people are just going to use baby weight. Especially since when you're nice and tired, you did all of these shitty ass leg extensions. Then you did barbell back squats. Now you're being attacked with that stupid superset of hack squats and close stance leg press, and you think you can finally die in peace. And this is when Daddy Noel comes and he shoves his massive dong straight into your throat, because he follows that up with body weight kneeling leg extension 20 reps. Are you shitting me? Is this a bodybuilding program or is this some BDSM shit? Who wants to do this? You've already done 2 super heavy knee flexions supersetted, and you're going to do some leg extension, kneeling leg extension on top of that. What is the point? Is the point to discourage people from lifting? Because if that's the case, this is going to really work. It's insane. And then, of course, it's not done. He has you do wall squat for 1 minute of 4 sets. If you're still alive by this and you're not in a wheelchair, I guess you can do that. Plus body weight walking lunges. Okay. This day is the worst day yet. Not because it's stupid, but because it's completely unrealistic. I really wonder if he does that. I would pay to see a video of the guy doing that, because he would get his first and final heart attack if he actually attempted this shit. It is simply not the proper way to train your legs. Please, for the love of God, don't train your legs like this. And that is pretty much the end. And now, just for the heck of it, right? I'm going to closure this video with the closing statement of HYPERMASS, where Noel Deyzel tells you that all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. And he is right. What he isn't telling you is that the best way to make sure your dreams never come true when it comes to bodybuilding and building a good physique is to jump on the HYPERMASS program, because this is certified to keep you small forever. So take Daddy Noel's advice, but flip it on its head. Pursue your dreams and run away from the HYPERMASS program as fast as humanly possible. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.